That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
Good morning, Sac City. Welcome into another edition of Sac City Podcast. I am your host, the one and only Vinny Milani, joined as always by my best friend in the whole entire world. He is Aaron the Mukesiah Mukes. It is a beautiful November 21st morning here in the city, episode 121, about to get underway. We've had Week 11 Sunday football action come and go, filled with a lot of ups and downs per usual. A lot of big-time wins for some big-time teams, a lot of dominant wins from some other teams, and some bad football. Some bad football from some teams that we might not have expected to have some bad games, but they did, and we're going to talk about them in just a few moments. Aaron, how was your Sunday at the Bears Falcons game?
It was good. It was good. It was fun. It was fun to be in an environment. I haven't been to a game in a while where, like, I didn't have a rooting interest, right? I was rooting for Justin Fields, and then I'm rooting for my fantasy players to do well. But, you know, we were just there to have a good time, and it was kind of fun to be in the middle of Bears fans because there was a lot of Bears fans at the Mercedes-Benz Dome and Falcons fans kind of going back and forth at each other. And I was just laughing hysterically, and they're all wondering why I'm laughing because I told everybody I wasn't either fan. They're wondering why I'm laughing at them because it was two shitburger teams had 3 wins talking crap to each other like they either one of them had anything really that they were playing for. So, yeah, the Falcons have a chance to get in the playoffs and all that, but we know they're not very good. So that was fun. I was trolling a lot of them, but it was a good environment. It was all in fun, and my son and I had a real good time. And then I still got to watch. Like the true reporter I am, I had my phone out with Red Zone channel while the game was going on, and especially during those long TV timeouts. So that was fun. And then, got to watch some football later. Yeah, I got a job to do still. At the end of the day, I'm an analyst. I'm a reporter. I have to know what's going on in these games. So I watched all the games still and enjoyed the live, atmosphere of the Falcons and Bears. And it was a good game. So it was a good game. So it was fun.
Well, there you go. There you go. I'm excited to hear your analysis of that game coming up in a little bit. But Aaron, I want to start the show off by talking about something that we're about to enter Week 12. I mean, Week 11 obviously still has one more game left between the Cardinals and the 49ers tonight. But we're going to start turning our attention to Week 12, and the playoff races are getting hot. There's a lot of tight races going on within both the AFC and the NFC. And I wanted to just get your thoughts when you look at the big picture standings of the NFL or of the AFC. We'll start there. When you look at the big picture of the AFC standings here, Chiefs at 1, Dolphins at 2, Titans at 3, Ravens at 4. In the wild card, we've got the Bills, the Patriots, and now the Bengals. And in the bubble, in that little bubble that I have there, got the Chargers, the Jets, and legally I have to put some of these teams because they're not mathematically eliminated yet. But on the bubble, it's the Chargers, it's the Jets, the Colts are on the bubble. Really, there's no one mathematically eliminated yet. So technically, everyone's on the bubble. But just put the close teams there. But that's not what we're focused on here, and that's not what we're here to talk about.
Well, I am.
Okay.
I'm upset at you.
Why?
Because you put teams on. You put the Denver Broncos on there. And the Denver Broncos have the same record as the Jacksonville Jaguars, as the Cleveland Browns, as the Las Vegas Raiders. And you chose to pick the Browns and Broncos, who are actually below the Jaguars and Raiders, if you include the tiebreaker.
To be completely honest, full transparency, pulling the screen back, I made a standings graphic last week, and I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to use this yet, but I'm going to just make it, and then if I want to use it, I'll use it. And then I didn't really the only ones I changed were the Jets and the Bengals. The Bengals were on the bubble entering Week 11. Now they're out of the playoffs after their loss to the Patriots yesterday. But so they're not in a playoff spot anymore, which is wild because the implications for yesterday's game was either you are in first place in the AFC East or you're not even in the playoffs at all, basically. So, and that's what it turned out being. But when you look at the AFC standings overall, what's the big storyline here? What's the big headline from the AFC side of the standings?
Honestly, there's not much. I think barring like the order in which they're sitting, obviously having the Dolphins above the Bills is different than what we thought at the beginning of the year. But outside of outside of really the Colts not being in, I don't know that there's really much that stands out. These are the exact playoff teams that were in last year, minus the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. It's the same playoff teams that are in there, except Dolphins would have been swapped for Raiders last season. So despite the chaos or what we have viewed as chaos and, oh my God, things aren't working the way these are the exact same playoff teams right now in the playoffs, minus the Raiders, and you throw in the Dolphins, who obviously added Tyreek Hill and some players, the Teron Armsteads this year. So not really shocking anything on the AFC side. I do find it interesting, some of those bubble teams that people thought were going to be good. We have to pump the brakes on, as we kind of stated. Like, you still have to go out and play the games. On paper, looks great with the Colts. On paper, looks great with the Chargers. On paper, we're hoping Deshaun Watson and the Browns could, tread water until Deshaun Watson got back, but they haven't been able to do that. So the one shock I would say is the Raiders not being anywhere on there, because I thought that was the team that made the playoffs and really, really improved. Everybody else there, what did they do? Like,
yeah, it's been a tough year for certain teams that we had a little bit of high expectations on, including the Broncos and, like you just said, the Raiders. But I mean, as well, on top of what you said, what you said was it's pretty much the same playoff teams as.
Well,
as
I guess I should clarify. Ravens weren't in it either. It was the Steelers last year, but we knew the Steelers weren't going to make it this year. Like, coming into the year, we knew Baltimore was probably that team that fills in for the Steelers because Big Ben's gone and all that. So technically, two teams have changed.
Pretty much, it's shaping up to be the playoffs that we expected to see, maybe minus a team or two. And I think the team that's surprising us in the spot is the Patriots at 6-4 right now. But so that's the storylines. I just wanted to get a brief overview. Maybe we'll talk about the standings more when we look at your power rankings on Wednesday's show at 10 a.m. on YouTube. But let's shift it over to the NFC. Eagles at first, Vikings still holding on at second, Seattle, the Bucks, and in the wild card, we've got the Cowboys, the Giants, the Niners, and on the outside looking in, there's your bubble teams. I'm sure there's other bubble teams that I didn't put. Like I said,
Vinny, take the graphic down. You'll just be upset at yourself. You got those records all wrong. But yeah, the Bucks and the Seahawks, those aren't their records.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, but the NFC, I think, is a little bit more wide open than the AFC. I think we have some teams in there that got off to slow starts when you're talking about like the 49ers and teams like that. Obviously, the Rams at the beginning of the season, people thought they were going to be something. Nobody expected the Seahawks and the Giants and the Eagles to start the way they did, or the Vikings to start the way they did. People thought the Packers would be in there. So I think there's a little bit more chaos in the NFC. I think it's a little more wide open. The good teams that are good, we still question. And we're going to talk about some of those questions today when we talk about the Eagles and the Vikings and the Niners and the Cowboys. Like, there's still some question marks with some of these teams that we're still trying to sort out. And now we're heading into week 12. And do we really know what these teams are? Because it seems like one week we're like, oh yeah, this is the team. They're good because they can go beat this team. And then the next week they lay an egg, or they escape by the skin of their teeth and they don't look very good doing it. So I think the NFC is kind of wide open. I think the AFC has a clear delineation of order in which teams are good, or like a pecking order. I think we all know it's Chiefs, Bills, Dolphins, and then kind of go down from there. In the NFC, I don't know that you can just say, oh, it's Philly, it's Minnesota, it's Dallas, it's the Niners. I don't know that we can say that. I think there's more up in the air in the NFC.
Yeah, the order I had it in was right. The records were not right. And there's still some teams on the outside looking in that are battling for that spot. Washington is on a win streak right now with Taylor Heineke. He won four of his 5 starts this year with the Commanders. They're 6-5 currently on the outside. The Niners played tonight. If the Niners lose tonight, the Commanders will slide into that last wild card spot. So they're right there with their new quarterback and Taylor Heineke. Again, I want to talk a little bit more about these on Wednesday when we do your power rankings, but just wanted to get a little brief overview. Now that we're about to enter week 12, wrapping up week 11, it's getting to that time of year where we have to start focusing on who's in, who's out, the bubble teams on the outside looking in, and the potential matchups that we could be seeing this year in the playoffs. Thank you for entertaining me with that and answering my questions regarding the playoffs. We're going to get into the matchups in just a few moments. Aaron, you got an injury report today?
Oh, you know I do. It's Monday.
Let's do it.
That's right. It's time for our injury report. Week 11, a lot of injuries to some key players again. Let's start with the game that I was at, Atlanta Falcons and the Chicago Bears. Kyle Pitts. I saw this coming from a mile away. I saw him run this little inside slant route. Great release, caught the ball, Marcus Mariota put it on the money, and the DB goes low, hits him in his knee. And it was scary at the time. He suffered the knee injury. He got up, tried to walk it off, and then he had to go right back down to the ground. So that's a scary situation there in Atlanta. Hopefully it's nothing serious. He did not return to the game. Atlanta was still able to get the win, but there's got to be some concern there for him. In that same game, Justin Fields, late in that game, ran to the sideline. It looked like he had something wrong with his hamstring, and then he got back up in the very next play. They ran it again with him, and he's trying to slide, got hit. People were wondering if it was a late hit or not. It wasn't, but he got hit on his shoulder, his left shoulder, and he actually said that he was in a lot of pain. So we have to keep an update on Justin Fields, because if they lose Justin Fields, whatever. Plus they're 3-8. Do they keep him out to make sure there's nothing long-term? Just keep an eye on that. Kyler Gordon also in that game had a concussion and did not return against Atlanta. Kyle Hamilton of the Baltimore Ravens suffered a knee injury. And Ronnie Stanley, 2 big losses there. Ankle injury, did not return for the Baltimore Ravens against the Carolina Panthers in that low-scoring affair. What else do we have? Joe Mixon concussed with the Cincinnati Bengals. They checked him for a concussion in the third quarter. He was ruled out. Samaje Perine had a monster day there. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Michael Parsons for the Dallas Cowboys left, came back with a knee injury. He said he's fine. That dude just never wants to get off the field. I don't even know why they let him come back in the game. They were up by so much, but he loves to play. So Denver Broncos had 2 big injuries. Jonathan Harris and DJ Jones left that game with knee injuries and a hand injury and did not return. The Lions had Jeff Okudah enter concussion protocol. For the Chiefs, Kadarius Toney left with a hamstring injury. I told people don't trust Kadarius Toney, and people don't want to listen. So what happens is he's out again. Clyde Edwards-Helaire left with an ankle injury. Juan Thornhill with a calf. In that same game, Mike Williams, 1 catch, first catch, great catch on the sideline, but I told you it was too soon. I knew that it was too early for Mike Williams. First of all, he's already made a glass. And second of all, he comes back. The ankle injury rushed back because he wants to play in this game against the Chiefs. First catch on the sideline, great catch, but he goes out with that ankle injury. I doubt we'll see him again for the next couple of weeks. Matt Stafford also evaluated for concussion. We saw him get a concussion last week. He got tackled. The back of his head hit the ground. He continued to play and got hit again and then left the game. Again, this was my issue with the Tua Tagovailoa situation. It seems like we only reacted to it because of the way it looked. There's other people that had a concussion the week before. This is now the third or fourth time I've seen this. Concussion the week before. They're playing the next week. The very next week they leave with a concussion again. That's 3 players in the past 3 weeks that has happened to, and nobody seems to be caring about that because it didn't look like Tua Tagovailoa. And I thought that was a huge issue that the NFL needs to address. For the Minnesota Vikings, Christian Darrisaw went out, losing their left tackle. He will not play on Thursday. They've already said, because he had a concussion, they said Kevin O'Connell confirmed he's not going to play. A lot of injuries. Oh my goodness. David Andrews, Isaiah Wynn for the New England Patriots, thigh injury. He went out. Isaiah Wynn left, but they were able to get that win. But 2 big losses there on the offensive line. Adoree Jackson for the Giants. Wan'Dale Robinson, torn ACL, confirmed this morning. Wan'Dale Robinson, he had a nice day yesterday, and he's confirmed now out. The Giants are riddled with injuries at receiver. How will this impact the OBJ decision? Does this mean they're going to offer him more money and go after him harder? John Feliciano suffered a neck injury. He left the game. And then my final 2 teams, Michael Carter, chest injury, did not return against New England. James Robinson probably next man up there, but that's a tough loss for them. They want to run the football with that putrid offense that they have. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, Jaylen Warren, I just talked about adding him because he's been kind of a spark plug. Well, he goes out with a hamstring injury, and then center Mason Cole with a foot injury left the game, and they already have offensive line issues in Pittsburgh. So a lot of injuries, a lot of guys that are out, and these are just things we're going to have to keep our eye on this week as we go forward. For week 12. It's coming to the end of the season. The teams that are healthy, teams that can battle through some of these nagging injuries are going to be the teams that I believe come out on top in the end. So.
Yeah, and then it's all the fans that'll come out and say, "Oh, well, so and so's injured, so and so's injured, so and so's injured," and that's why we're X and X going into the last games and or whatever.
And
that's
as you can see, every team,
everybody is banged up. Okay, everybody except the Jaguars because we're not doing anything at all. I'm kidding. The Jaguars are banged up, but it was a joke, terrible joke. That does it though for injury report and our little morning headlines, our little playoff talk. Let's talk some football, Aaron. Let's go inside the matchups for the AFC. Starting things off in Buffalo, I mean Detroit, because this game was moved to Detroit because of all the bad snow that they got in Buffalo. Thoughts and prayers to anyone and everyone affected by that wicked bad snowstorm that hit that area. But there was a football game, and it happened in Detroit. The Bills took down the Browns 31-23. Bills moved to 7-3. Browns to 3-7. And I know the Bills won this game, Aaron, but I actually really wanted to talk about the Browns from this matchup here because in this game, we saw Amari Cooper, 8 receptions, 113 yards, 2 touchdowns. We saw Donovan Peoples-Jones get his first touchdown of the season, 5 receptions, 61 yards on top of that tutty. It started to seem like this passing offense is showing signs of what maybe to come in Cleveland. What did you see from them? And I know we talked about what they have to survive until Deshaun Watson gets back and hopefully can push for a playoff spot. They're 3-7. It's going to be tough when he comes back, but are we starting to see signs of what this offense could be and it could be special when Deshaun Watson gets in?
Well, I don't think I needed to see anything with Jacoby Brissett to know that it could be special. We've talked about the Cleveland Browns now for 3 years, about the roster that they've constructed, the players that they've compiled in order to make this offense special. We thought it could be special under Baker Mayfield. Remember that. When you get Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt and now Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones, I've mentioned over and over again on the show this year, has taken that next step, I believe, is the number 2 wide receiver, that you have something special already. And David Njoku out of there, you had a good offensive line. Your defense has a bunch of talent on it with Denzel Ward and Grant Delpit and obviously Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney on the outside. You add Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. They have all the names and talent that you want. But how will that translate into getting wins? And I think that really comes down to, is Deshaun Watson going to come back and beat Deshaun Watson? If Deshaun Watson is that, then I think that the Cleveland Browns have a chance to move forward and be a contender in the future. Is it going to be this season? No, I don't think you can miss that much football and continue to and then just win every single game that you played at the remainder of the year and expect to get in the playoffs. But can this team be something going forward? Yeah, I do believe they can. They have to make sure they're obviously keep the pieces that they have in place. But I think they've done a good job of building the roster and now just the quarterback away. And that's what we saw them think was, we are a quarterback away. And if Deshaun Watson can be that guy that he was in Houston, then I think they have that quarterback. And despite all the off the field stuff, I'm not here to talk about that, nor do I care to condemn or not condemn, or it doesn't matter at this point. The man has gone through whatever he's gone through. From a football perspective, I appreciate the player that he is. I appreciate what he is able to bring to a football team, and that is what I'm going to stick to. And at this point, I do believe that if he's able to come back and be what he was prior to all of this off the field stuff, then the Cleveland Browns have a chance going forward in 2023 and beyond. But for this year, I told you that they couldn't afford to lose a game anymore, whether it was the Bills or the Bucs next week. They couldn't, and unfortunately, they did. They had a chance to extend that lead, and they didn't do it early, and I think their season is probably over. But I do think they can use the back half of this schedule to get Deshaun Watson comfortable, get him to know the offense, get him to know his receivers, and that could leapfrog and jumpstart them into 2023.
Yeah, Browns moved to 3-7 after this loss. Another notable stat line in this game that deserves to be mentioned is Nick Chubb, 14 carries for just 19 yards in this game. It's the lowest of his career for rushing yards on average, only averaging 1.4 yards per carry, lowest of his career. Not a great game from Chubb, and I think that also goes to Goes to show what we talk about all the time with these teams that are reliant on their run game, the Browns, the Saints, the Raiders, like those three teams come to mind of saying, okay, your success relies heavily on what your running game is doing. In Alvin Kamara, Josh Jacobs, and Nick Chubb. 14 carries, 19 yards for Chubb is not going to give you a win if you're the Cleveland Browns. But Aaron, you did bring this up. The Browns were up in this game 10-3. The Bills scored 25 straight points after falling behind 10-3. And it was a shaky start for the Bills. It was field goal, and then they scored on their final 7 drives, a field goal, touchdown, alternating. But they started off slow, and I started seeing people questioning what are the Bills doing, or are we should we start to be concerned with the Bills? But then they put up another 30 spot on team for the 5th time this season. Where are we at with the Bills and with this game in particular? They win, but I feel like there's still some people out there that are a little bit concerned with this team.
I mean, there might be some concern because the last time we seen them, they weren't very good. They lost to Minnesota. They blew that lead. Obviously, they lost to the Jets a few weeks ago. But listen, this game was different. First of all, I don't think people realize in the NFL, if you miss 2 or 3 days of practice, you're behind. You're behind. These are NFL teams. They didn't practice for 2 days. That matters in the NFL. That means the Browns were preparing for them, and they weren't preparing for the Browns. And they don't play the Browns twice a year. They haven't scouted the Browns like that. They just came off a game that they played. They had to figure out how to get out of the snow. Let's be honest. This is a team that was in chaos this week. And despite what people may feel about, oh, they're NFL players and they just go out and play a game, preparation is everything. You had grown-ass men that had to have fans help them to shovel their way out of snow for their house just to get to the team facility, to make an airplane, to get to Detroit, to play the damn game. That matters. The focus at that point is not on football. The focus is on my house. What's going on with my family? We're snowed in. Like, people forget that these guys are regular people at the end of the day, and they do. And this goes to some of your points when you talk about the mental side of it. They have off the field things too. When you go to your job and you have a bad day, nobody cares. Like, you just have a bad day and you can be mean to everybody and go about your business and it doesn't really impact the company or whatever. Like, that company still goes on. If Josh Allen is having a bad day or has to worry about his family and he has to go play quarterback and his mind's not all the way into it, that's the difference between winning and losing. So I appreciated the fact that they came out, they started slow. They got a break with the Cleveland Browns dropping touchdowns in the end zone wide open. But they got a break. They used that to their advantage. They were able to compound some scores together. And yes, they kicked a lot of field goals. But they won the game. And I think that's all that matters in the end for the Buffalo Bills. They're a good football team. They're going to find ways to win games. Yes. Are they going to have their struggles? As will everybody else in the NFL at times. We get so caught up on every win and every loss and every moment of these teams that we want to break down and say, what's wrong with them? Are they still good because they have a bad moment in a football game? Look, the Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams in football. And if you want to dissect every single play of every single game, then guess what? There are no good teams if you did that, including the Kansas City Chiefs and this man right here. So I'm fine. The Bills are fine. They're going to stay in Detroit. They're going to have a few days. They don't have to travel again. They'll be in Detroit. They play Detroit on Thursday, and Josh Allen and those boys they'll be just fine.
Yeah, that offense is going to look real good on Thursday. I mean, they're going to be comfortable. They've already been in Detroit for a little bit. They're playing a really bad defense in the Lions. I mean, this is going to be there could be 40 in this game from the Bills and continuing their streak of putting up 30 plus points. I do want to note on this side of the Bills, though, that's good. The rushing attack for the Bills, James Cook gets his first career rushing touchdown, 11 carries, 86. He gets his first career touchdown, I should say. It was a receiving touchdown for James Cook. Wait, why does it say no? Sorry, I read this all wrong. I read this all wrong. Season high rushing yards, 86 rushing yards on just 11 carries. That's what I was trying to find. I'm looking at like 6 different notes that I have. I'm all over the place. But it's the rushing attack that I wanted to focus on the Bills and mention. 11 carries, 86 yards for James Cook, 18 carries, 86 yards, and a touchdown for Devin Singletary. That's what they have to do in big games. And now I know the Browns, this wasn't a big game, but we talk about teams getting one-dimensional, and it adds a whole new layer to your offense when you can run the ball efficiently, and that's what they did here with James Cook and Devin Singletary. As the Bills defeat the Cleveland Browns 31-23, Bills move to 7-3, Browns move to 3-7. The Indianapolis Colts, Jeff Saturday, can't string along the second win in a row. They fall to the Eagles. Nick Sirianni gets his revenge here on his former team as the Eagles defeat the Colts 17-16. Aaron, in this one here, that's not the right one. Whoopsies. The Eagles get the win. It was not pretty. This was a really ugly win for the Eagles, but we had just finished talking about it with the Bills. And sometimes we overlook the fact that winning in the NFL is hard no matter who you're playing against. Is that the case for the Eagles here against the Colts, or was this just a bad game from everyone around and we're just passing over it? What are your thoughts on this tight one from a once undefeated Eagles team and a once shithole team of the Indianapolis Colts?
Yeah, I mean, they got the win, so obviously that's all that matters in the end. But you would be lying if you would say you haven't watched the Eagles over the past 2 weeks and then now given some maybe we jumped the gun on how good they are. Again, this is still a good football team. This is a team that's going to be in the playoffs, likely to win the NFC East at this point. Their schedule is favorable down the stretch. So they're going to have a lot of wins stacked up. But did you see chinks in their armor? Absolutely. At times they struggle stopping the run. They were turning the football over, which they can't do. They were not able to run the ball early, especially without Jalen Hurts. Like Jalen Hurts, honestly, they win this game because Jalen Hurts' ability to make plays with his legs. And that's great and all, but that's where you wonder if a team can really get over the top. You wonder if the Bills can get over the top of the Kansas City Chiefs when you're relying so much on the legs of Jalen Hurts or the legs of a Josh Allen. And I think that's what we saw in this game. I thought the Colts did an excellent job game planning and scheming for that Philadelphia offense. I thought the tempo, once again, was not on the favorable side of the Philadelphia Eagles. I thought that Indianapolis kind of dictated the tempo of the game, and I think that's when the Philadelphia is at their weakest moment. I think they're susceptible to giving up stuff when they're not in control of tempo. And I think every team is now going to watch that Washington game and watch that Colts game, and you're going to see a lot more games like we've seen over the past 2 weeks with Philly, because they know that that's what they want to do. So they're going to take that away from them. And that's going to be the number one key or factor for a defensive coordinator and the defense is going forward. So I think it's important to note that those things happened, but you also have to recognize Philly got the win. They figured it out in the end. I don't know what the Colts were doing defensively on that last possession on the drive where they would allow that quarterback draw there in the red zone. I thought it was pretty clear. And again, I'm no defensive coordinator in the NFL, but I thought it was pretty clear what the game plan was for Philly on that final drive. Jalen Hurts was going to win that game. And then on third down, they leave the middle of the field wide open. And why they didn't have a quarterback spy, I don't know. But he runs the quarterback draw, gets in the end zone, and they handle business. But and shout out to the Colts, man. They played that team tough, and they had a chance to win. They were just not good enough in the red zone. That's really what it boiled down to. Too many field goals, didn't get in the end zone, and that was the difference in the game. If they turn those field goals into touchdowns, you have a completely different game. You can't go 1 for 3 in the red zone and expect to win.
Yeah, that number definitely jumps out to you with red zone efficiency. The Colts were leading in this game. They were up 13-3 entering the fourth quarter. Like they were up in this game. They had the Eagles on the ropes, and it wasn't that great of a game from the Eagles. But like we say, they good teams, they do find ways to win. I do think that I want to ask you really about the Colts and the new Jeff Saturday era. Matt Ryan back as the starting quarterback here. Jonathan Taylor, a good day on the ground, 22 carries, 84 yards and a touchdown. Matt Ryan, a day. What are you seeing now 2 games in the Jeff Saturday era for the Colts?
Well, they're competent. I think that's all we cared about. Like I think we figured out pretty quickly that this Colts team wasn't as good as we thought they were at the beginning of the season. I think we knew that. I think we knew that after a couple of games, and we said, okay, maybe we need to reevaluate what the Colts are. But then they went through a stretch where they were just incompetent. They couldn't move the ball at all. And you bring in Sam Ehlinger and you make the quarterback change, and then completes 2 passes in 3 quarters and -2 yards or whatever it was. And there was no competency. They couldn't run the ball. Now you see they're competent. They can play football. They're in games. And I think that's really what you're gauging them on now. Like, what kind of are they quitting? Are they no? They're still in there. They're still fighting. They believe, and it looks like at least Jeff Saturday has the attention of the players and that they're playing for him. I'm not saying they weren't playing for Frank Wright, but let's be honest. One thing that happened yesterday that I completely was baffled me was that fact that Nick Sirianni had to bring up the firing of Frank Wright in his press conference. Like, first of all, stay out of it. I get that that's your friend, but you are not somebody that gets to decide whether Frank Wright deserved to keep his job or not. Frank Wright's been in Indianapolis for years now and hasn't gotten them to where they needed to get, and and he's had rosters that have been very talented. So for Nick Sirianni to come out and even, like, I don't want to say it was like a backhand shot at Jeff Saturday or what the Colts were doing, but I know he's an outspoken guy, but honestly, shut the hell up and just worry about your team. I get Frank Wright's your buddy and he helped you get a job and all that stuff, but your buddy wasn't getting the job done. And we see guys fired each and every week in this league, and you're nowhere to be found or talk about what they're capable of. So for him to like throw shade and say, well, Frank Wright should still have that job. Well, he shouldn't. He made a poor decision in going to Sam Ehlinger, and that decision cost him a couple of more chances at wins. And he hasn't won in the past. Like, he's been limited on what he's been able to do as a head coach there. So it was time to move on. And so I didn't like that. But the Colts, they're going to be in a lot more games like this. It's going to be a lot of dogfights. But Jeff Saturday at least has the respect of that locker room, and you can see they're at least playing for him. But they're not a good football team. Offensive line struggles, and they lack some weapons at times. And Matt Ryan's old, so he's a statue. But again, like I said, they played hard. They had a chance to win it, and they couldn't make it happen. We'll have to see how they finish out their season. But I don't anticipate them getting back in any kind of playoff hopes or anything like that.
Yeah, no, that would be it's a tough road back for the Colts, and just trying to figure out if maybe Jeff Saturday can be the guy. I know he's the interim coach. Maybe he can win this job with the last remaining games for the Indianapolis Colts. But they do move to 4-6-1 after this loss to the Eagles. And of course, the Eagles still just have that one loss on their record. They are now 9-1 heading into week 12. Oh man, oh man, oh man. This game, this one, the next one on our list. The New England Patriots defeat the New York Jets 10-3. The Patriots have now won 14 straight games against the Jets, the longest active winning streak by one team over another in the NFL. And it came on the heels of just the wildest play you could possibly think of. Marcus Jones, 84-yard touchdown punt return. First punt return of the season. It just so happens to be this one. He took it to the house. It was incredible. I was mind blown. I was like, no way. This is the most Jets thing to happen. The Jets can be 6-4. They can be having a great season, but they're still the New York Jets, and this is what happens with the Jets. They lose on an 84-yard punt return with 5 seconds left to go in regulation. It's the latest go-ahead punt return touchdown in regulation since, Aaron, can you name it?
Deshaun Jackson.
Okay. Well, I guess you can name it. All right. Well, then I will just continue on with talking about this game then. So the punt return's there. It was an incredible play, but that's not the story of this game, Aaron. I think the biggest story from this game is the play of Zach Wilson for the Jets. 9 of 22, 77 yards, sacked 4 times in this game. They had more punts than he had completions in this one. After the game, he was asked if he felt like the offense let the defense down. He just flat out said no. That seems to be heavily talked about this morning amongst the media. Your thoughts on Zach Wilson's performance and his reaction after the game when he said, we didn't let the defense down?
Since you want to start with Zach Wilson, I'll start there. Zach Wilson ain't it. And this is not a knock to his talent, because I do think he's talented, and I don't think everything that's going to be thrown on him today is his fault. I will make that very clear. Receivers aren't getting open. New England does a really good job at what they want to do against the Jets. We know that this is what happens in the NFL. Matchups make fights, and this fight is just not fair. And Belichick versus this Jets team is just not fair. But Zach Wilson probably would have had my support still, because I'm a big Zach Wilson guy coming out of the draft. I thought he could be something good, something special. He probably still would have had my support at some level had he not did what he did on the podium. You know what I'm about, Vinny. I'm about leadership. I don't like guys who blame other people. I do this every day at my job. Doesn't matter. And I supervise. My reporter does something wrong and something happens in the office. My news director comes to me and I say, "Oh, that's my fault." It's the first thing I do. It doesn't matter what they did. If I knew about it, if I back them up. Like, that's, to me, there is no bigger deal in professional sports at the GM, owner, quarterback, and head coach than leadership. And leadership is taking accountability for yourself, but also for others. When they have their struggles, you just own it and you just take on that leadership. And if you want to have a discussion with them, you do it in private, you fix it, and you move on. I thought it was a poor choice of character, judgment, whatever you want to call it, to sit up there and just say no. You don't owe us an explanation. I'm not asking for an explanation, but
just take ownership.
If he would have said, "Do you feel like?" If I'd have said, "Do you feel like the offense let the defense down?" His answer should have been, "Yes, we did. Yes, I did." Josh Allen said it the other day. Did Josh Allen have to go up there and he could have, maybe Stephon Diggs ran the wrong route. Maybe he didn't read the coverage the same way. Maybe Josh Allen's fault. It wasn't his fault on those interceptions. But Josh Allen goes up there and says, "That's my fault. I got to be better. If I play like shit, we're not going to win." That shows the lack of immaturity that has already been questioned about Zach Wilson. But more so than anything, and I just got this vibe when I saw the press conference and his body language, I got a sense of entitlement. And that already just, like, everything I thought about Zach Wilson just turned me off. That sense of entitlement, like, I made it here. I'm Zach Wilson. I'm the quarterback now. It just gave me those vibes. And I don't believe in the NFL, especially in today's NFL, that you can win with that mentality. I just bashed Aaron Rodgers for this. And Aaron Rodgers has won in multiple MVPs, a Super Bowl, and is a Hall of Famer. And you are a second-year green rookie that's been hurt and done nothing. And you're going to have that sense of entitlement? I don't believe that you can be successful in this league doing that. So unless he has a serious attitude adjustment, it doesn't even matter what he does on the field. I don't even care about the play. There's no way that Zach Wilson is going to have success in this league if he has that mentality that at least was portrayed at that press conference.
Yeah, and I mean that seems to be the vibes that came off from that Zach Wilson presser, and it's interesting because we talk about the quarterbacks from that draft class: Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Mac Jones, those guys, and we talk about how we would talk about, like, patience with these quarterbacks and the mistakes that they make and how they can possibly be overcome. And we're starting to see it with guys like Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. And while Mac Jones is doing Mac Jones's thing over there. But with Zach Wilson, I think this is the first quarterback that you've said that you might be out on.
I've been out on Mac Jones before he was drafted.
Well,
so
like I said, Mac Jones is over there doing what he does. Like, we're not going to get back in it. We'll get into Mac Jones when we talk Patriots in just a second.
I think the other three are great, though. Like, I believe Trevor Lawrence is going to be great. I believe Justin Fields is going to be great, and I believe that, how I feel about Trey Lance. I believe that Trey Lance, when he comes back and he's able to play, is going to be great. I don't see great in Zach Wilson, but I did. Like, I saw the skill set, I believe, is there. I am out because of this, like the leadership, the heart. How much do you want it? Like, that to me is bigger than the talent, because I believe you can work to be more talented, to be more great, to be better at something. You can't, it's hard to change your personality and your attributes, and that's hard to shift. That you've been doing that your whole life, then that's a problem.
Yeah. Now, if he comes out today or tomorrow or whatever, his next press conference, and say, "I apologize for what I said," like, if he
don't care.
Okay,
the only way that gets fixed is to show it now, to show the leadership, because
to lead on the field.
Because you come the next day, a publicist talk to you and say, "This is bad for your image, bad for your brand, your money. You're going to lose money doing this." Your agent says, "Hey, man, you need to go apologize and take ownership." I don't care about none of that. Now you're in that moment. You said what you said. You felt the way you felt. You looked the way you looked. That's when you get people at their most honest, right? And so going forward, I need to see him take accountability on the field. Right? And then after every press conference from here on out, he needs to be up there owning it. And then I can say, okay, he's making a shift. But until then, I don't believe it. But I didn't even want to talk about Zach Wilson, to be honest, because you glossed over the punt return, not glossed over it, but you talked about it, and then you asked me a different question. And I wanted to talk about the coaching.
Okay.
I wanted to talk about how poor of a job that I thought Robert Saleh did as a head coach in that situation. First of all, excellent defensive coach. Arguably one of the best culture changes. Him, Dan Campbell. You guys know how I feel about Robert Saleh. I like him. In that situation, there's two things you're telling your punter. Number one, you're kicking it to the sideline. And number two, you have to get as much hang time on that football as possible so the clock continues to run. What does he do? He kicks a line drive right down the middle to the damn kick returner. It's the only thing you can't do. It's the one thing you can't do is kick a line drive to the kick returner. First of all, out kicking your coverage in the middle of the field. Like, to me, this is football 101. And I don't know that Robert Saleh didn't tell him that and it was just a bad punt, but you have to kick that ball high. It could be a short kick. That kick can be short. That kick can be at their 40-yard line. There's only going to be time for one play. There's no, you know what I mean? Like one or two plays, like your defense has shut them down. You cannot allow a return there. You have shut this offense down, the void of playmakers. They don't have anybody that's explosive like that. And you have shut them down all game. And you're going to kick it to the one. Think about a special teams play. And I get it. They're supposed to do their job. You have none, like Sauce Gardner's not out there. Your best defensive players are not out there playing in their normal lineup situations to defend this. You did not put the ball, or you did not give your best unit the opportunity to win the football game or at least get the ball back. It was just a poor coaching decision and poor execution by the punter. I thought that was significant. Like, I know that they didn't score any points and they had negative 2 yards of offense, but they win that game. We're still talking about them different today. They go to overtime and win that game 6-3. Yeah, they had a tough offensive day, but they found a way to win. And then the Zach Wilson stuff gets glossed over a little bit. They talk about it, but it gets glossed over. I just thought that was pretty significant for the Jets, and it's a tough loss. But hey, I said it last week with Green Bay and Dallas. The Patriots own you. This is the kind of stuff that happens. It doesn't make me think any differently about the Patriots or the Jets today than it did 2 weeks ago when the Patriots beat them by a lot. Like, the Patriots beat the Jets. This is the NFL. It happens all the time. Packers own the Cowboys. Patriots own the Jets. This Brady owned Manning. Like,
grass is green, the sky is blue. It's just things that we just should be expecting nowadays in the world.
It is what it is. It's not an indictment on anything other than this is what happens in the NFL.
Yeah, that's now 14 straight games. The Patriots have won over the Jets, the longest active winning streak by one team over another in the NFL. Another mentionable player, another mentionable stat that I want to talk about, or not talk about, just to bring up. Matthew Judon, another game with some sacks. He had 1.5 sacks in this game. Leads the league now in sacks with 13 this season, a career high for him. Most ever by a Patriot through the first 10 games of a season. When sacks became official in 82, he's having a hell of a year, deserves to be brought up. I feel like he doesn't get enough credit. And I wanted to give him the mention here of having yet another game with some big time sacks, really helping this Patriots team get the dub over the New York Jets. Patriots win.
By the way, I do have to point this out because everybody is starting to mention the Patriots again. And I have to bring everybody right back down to earth. Just really quick. Great win. But the Patriots have beaten absolutely nobody. Okay. And I'm including the Jets in that because the Jets are that's the one team that it's the one team I will not give the Patriots credit for beating is the Jets. For many reasons, but it's because they're the Jets. The Bears, the Steelers, the Lions, the Browns, the Jets, the Colts, and the Jets. Those are the Patriots wins. So the 6-4 Patriots are about to be in for a rude awakening as they enter the next 8 games or 7 games or whatever it is. Show me that they can win these games, and then I'll show you the playoff Patriots. Because until then, I'm not buying it. They go Vikings, Bills, Cardinals, Raiders, Bengals, Dolphins, Bills. Good luck.
Yeah. Oof.
Good luck.
Oof.
If you come out of that and you're 5-2, and or whatever, and maybe even 500 is going to be good out of that. 4-3, then I'll give you some credit. But I'm almost willing to bet they'll finish below 500 the rest of the season.
Yeah. No, I get it. But either way, they do come out victorious in this one. Now own that wild card spot, and the Jets fall out of the playoff picture. And both teams, though, at 6-4. It's a tight race in the AFC East. It's a tight race in the AFC for a playoff spot. And just like that, the Jets had a chance to become leaders in the AFC East, fall, and now become out of the playoff picture as they lose to the Patriots 10-3. The Baltimore Ravens win an ugly one against Carolina 13-3. They move to 7-3. Panthers move to 3-8. In this game, the Baltimore Ravens did not trail for a single second, as we expected. It was against the Baker Mayfield-led Panthers, but 13-3 isn't really that. I mean, we talked about it before with some teams. Wins are wins. This one, though, I feel like doesn't fall under that category of wins are wins if you're the Baltimore Ravens only being the Panthers 13-3. What's going on with the Ravens here, Aaron?
I don't agree with you.
Nothing at all?
No, I don't agree with you. I thought Baltimore dominated this game from start to finish. They struggled in the red zone, and that's the difference between being 13-3 and being 28-3. Lamar threw a bad interception in the red zone. It was a great play by the defense. The defense lineman jumped up, caught it. They just struggled in the red zone. But other than that, they dominated the game. Defensively, they dominated. Offensively, they were dominant. Like they played their brand of football. They had 10 penalties. Like it's one of those games where things that could be cleaned up. When you don't score in the red zone, you have 10 penalties that put you behind the chains. You're going to be in a game like this. It didn't bother me at all. I knew that Baltimore would win at the end because they were the better team, and they did. You saw them get things going in the second half, scored some points. But remember, this is the NFL, and the Carolina Panthers defense is not terrible. They are a good defense. We just saw them beat Atlanta in the row. We saw them beat Tampa Bay. This is not and since Steve Wilkes has taken over, they have played much cleaner football. But they have the turd at quarterback. And if there's not a bigger turd than Carson Wentz, it's Baker Mayfield. And maybe if they had a different quarterback, they would have been able to give a more of a fight. But no, I'm not worried about Baltimore in a game like this. I think this is it was Baltimore's game to lose and blow, and they didn't. Like I said, they had penalties and didn't finish in the red zone. That was really the only thing that I saw.
Okay, let me present you this statistic here, and maybe this will. Obviously you're pretty firm on not being concerned. It was a good day from Demarcus Robinson, 9 receptions, 128 yards for him. But over the last 7 games for Lamar Jackson, he's only averaging 175 yards per game passing. And then we know it's Lamar Jackson. He runs, and it's a lot more than just passing. Total touchdown to interception ratio, 7 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and only averaging 6.1 yards per attempt. Much different than his first 3 games. And I get it. His first 3 games, he was on that unreal pace. But do those numbers alarm you at all, or is it just a pass?
This is Baltimore's offense. The thing about Baltimore's offense is they're not going to have I don't know if that's mine or Vinny's. Can you hear me? Vincent? Okay, I'm going to assume that that's Vincent's internet and not mine. Mine seems to be working. I'm not sure what happened with Vinny's internet, but I will answer his question anyways. I think that Lamar Jackson is perfectly fine. I think that we talked about Lamar over the past couple of weeks, but this is the offense the Baltimore Ravens want to run. They are a running team. They're not the team that's going to air it out 50 times. So the yardage and all that stuff, this is the style of offense they want to play. They want to make it gritty. They want to make it something out in the they want to control tempo, and tempo, we talk about tempo a lot on this show. And the fact of the matter is tempo starts with the run game. If you can control the clock and you can make it ugly on the inside and allow that offensive and defensive line to start mauling people, that's what they're going to do. And so when I see Baltimore only have 175 yards of total offense or of passing offense, that's not the same as Patrick Mahomes having 175 yards, because Lamar is going to add something in the run game. Lamar is going to bring Kenyon Drake, and then when Gus Edwards gets back and those guys, it's going to be them that's then adding to the run game. So I don't have as many concerns as some people about Baltimore. They just play a different style of football than most teams. And when we talk about teams playing their brand, I'd rather see a team that's on brand, doing what they're comfortable in doing and had success doing, than try to be something that they're not. I'm not excited when I see Demarcus Robinson have 9 catches for 128 yards. It doesn't make him better. It just means they've had to go to him a little bit more. I'd rather see Mark Andrews with that number, because to me, that makes more sense for what Baltimore's trying to do. So to answer Vinny's question, I'm not concerned about the Baltimore Ravens. I think the Baltimore Ravens will be just fine. I've seen this type of team before. They can win in the playoffs because they can run the football. If they play defense the way they've been playing defense, they're going to have a chance to beat anybody. So I'm perfectly comfortable with that. I just got a message from Vincent. Vinny said his entire computer just blew up. I don't know if that's a euphemism or facetious about his computer blowing up, but I'll give him a second to get in here. But while I'm waiting for him, I will talk about the Carolina Panthers. And first, shout out to Steve Wilks, because I think he's done a hell of a job since the firing of Matt Rule. And so much so that they come out this week and they've said, hey, look, we are thinking about giving Steve Wilks the full-time job. Like, he has a chance to be the full-time head coach. And if Steve Wilks is the full-time head coach, I will applaud the Carolina Panthers, because what he's done since he's taken over is he's kind of stabilized that organization and has them at least going in the right direction. They don't have a quarterback. We know that. We saw what PJ Walker was able to do, came in, win some games, playing teams tough. Baltimore's one of the better teams in football. So I applaud Steve Wilks for that, but Carolina's just bad when it comes to key positions. Quarterback, offensive line play at times. Baker Mayfield's one of the worst on third downs. He's inaccurate. I think the Baker Mayfield experience is over. And the Carolina Panthers, if they can go get a quarterback, I think they will have a chance to make a difference in their organization and program as we move forward. And you missed my whole soliloquy about the Baltimore Ravens.
My computer literally just exploded on me. Like, swear to God, it just went like you know when you're blowing something up, it goes and like it did that. And
I was talking and I saw you freeze, and I'm like, I don't think it's me. I've been pretty good lately. I haven't froze. And then check my internet. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good. So I'm going to keep talking. And you were just there, and then you were gone. And I soloed, and it was perfect though. We handled it. You know me, I'm a consummate professional.
This guy, he handles his business. I feel like I don't need to say anything more because you've said it all already with this game.
Yeah.
So the Ravens defeat the Carolina Panthers 13-3. They move to 7-3. The Panthers move to 3-8. The Commanders continue rolling, and as they defeat the Houston Texans 23-10. Taylor Heineke continues to roll as well as the Commanders' starting quarterback. He has now won 4 of his 5 starts this season, leading the charge for the Manders after taking over for Carson Wentz. In this game, he did not have to do too much. He was just there. He didn't have to do a whole lot. He was 15 of 27, 191 yards, no turnovers, no touchdowns. Sometimes that's what you just have to do against the Houston Texans team that it has been struggling and will just probably continue to struggle. In a game like this, Aaron, what stood out to you the most?
Well, I think how it played out is exactly what we thought. The Washington Commanders ran the ball 40 times for 153 yards. So, albeit the Texans played better against the run. Brian Robinson, first of all, turned back into Brian Robinson. I knew you can't trust him. You just can't trust the guy. Can't trust the man. But he turned it back into Brian Robinson, but they kept running the ball. Antonio Gibson ran the ball. Brian Robinson ran the ball. They ran some more, and they played good defense. But I told you that this defensive line for Washington is real. And they stopped Damian Pierce. Matter of fact, they picked him up and body slammed him like he was in the WWE or AEW. Literally picked him up and body slammed Damian Pierce. I did think that Houston continues to – the offense baffles me at times. They get away from the run game early when they go down, and I don't think they have to. I think they need to understand what their identity is, and that's just run the football. And they need to be more creative in the run game. So I was disappointed they only got 10 carries. I thought that was a mistake. I know the game got out of hand in the second quarter, but look, 20-0. It's crazy that people it'll be 20-0 and teams panic. And I'm not saying it's easy to come back from 20-0, but when they score that 20th point, what happens? You get the ball back. If you go down and score, it's 20-7. That game looks a whole lot different at 20-7 than it does at 20-0. Hell, even 20-3 looks a whole lot different than 20-0. I feel like teams see that and they panic, and then it's throw. And guess what? You're punting again. Now you're giving them a chance to make it 23 or 27-0. So I thought they got away from the run game a little early. Davis Mills is not Dave. He's done, man. He's done. I said it last year. I thought his rookie performance was a little bit overhyped. He played good, but it wasn't great. And I thought it was a little bit overhyped on how good he had played. And this year it's showing he regressed significantly. And I do think Houston goes and looks for a quarterback in the draft.
Oh yeah, I think so as well. I think they're on the fast track of getting that first overall pick, and CJ Stroud being announced as the next Texans starting quarterback is in their future, in my opinion. But Davis Mills, 19 of 33, 169 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Talk about the rushing game for the Houston Texans, and they only rushed for 21 yards on 16 carries as a team. Just not a good day as a whole from the Houston Texans offense. The defense, the Commanders, though, give them a lot of credit for shutting them down. Josh Allen and Montez Sweat both had 2 sacks each. It's the first 2-sack game of the season for Allen, second for Sweat. Sweat has 6 sacks this year. That defensive line, that defense does have the potential to be game-changing. And although it was against the Houston Texans, they still changed the game and helped the Commanders get the win here, 23-10, as the Commanders are now in a playoff spot. They're just outside of the playoffs. They are just outside of the playoffs. If the Niners lose tonight, they will be in a playoff spot. The Commanders will hold that last spot. Just saying.
Man, we still got 8 weeks. What are you talking? Ain't nobody worried about no playoff spot right now for no 6 and 5, 5 and 6 teams. There's gonna be so much that happens between now and week 15. I honestly, I'm a big fan of talking about playoffs after Thanksgiving. So okay. I think we're a week early. I do think we're a little bit of a week early, but I think it does speak to being a game out or a half game out or whatever they are now. I think it speaks to the run that they've been on, 5 of 6. They were dead in the water. Remember, they were dead in the water with Carson Wentz after week 4 or 5. So shout out to Ron Rivera and Taylor Heineke for getting them on track.
Yep, 4-1 now under Taylor Heineke as the Commanders defeat the Texans 23-10. The Las Vegas Raiders defeat the Denver Broncos 22-16 in a game where we had these two teams both had high expectations coming into the season. They are both now 3-7. The Raiders get the job done here, though, in this one, 22-16 in overtime. This was the overtime game, right? If I'm not mistaken, this was in overtime. The Raiders get the win on a play that I couldn't believe this, man. I could not believe what we saw from the Denver Broncos, at least on their defense. We give them a lot of credit, a lot. How are you going to leave Devontae Adams like wide open, like no one around you in overtime? Like, it's one thing to have that happen in regulation, but happen in overtime. And it was a great move. He had a great move on Patrick Surtain. Like, that was a great move.
He cooked Patrick Surtain all night long. Let's throw some damn respect on Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams said, man, y'all over here talking about Justin Jefferson. Y'all over here talking about Cooper Kupp. Excuse me, I'm still the best receiver in football. Like, Tyreek Hill didn't play this week. I'm claiming that crown. Devontae Adams absolutely cooked Patrick Surtain all night long. And I mean cooked him. Route running, his ability to show late. He'll run and Patrick Surtain will think he has him covered, and Devontae will act like he's not getting the ball, and the ball's coming and he throws his hands out late. He's the best in the league at doing that. That man is the best receiver in football. I forgot for a minute. I thought it was Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
I still they battling right now. But Devontae Adams, because of what he is able to do with his route tree, and he cannot be shut down. He is not. This is why it's so frustrating for the Raiders to have a game where Devontae Adams has 3 catches for 10 yards or whatever, because there is not a corner. There is no better corner play right now in the NFL than Patrick Surtain has been playing this year. Like truly, I'm dead honest about that. He has played corner at the level of just about the best corner in football. And he did not stand a chance against Devontae Adams. Adams was cooking his ass every which way. Zone, man, I'm going to show you this. My route, everything in my route says I'm going across the field, but nah, I'm coming back. So you over pursue, I'm gone. Cooked him. Meanwhile, I watched Justin Jefferson get shut down. I've watched, other guys get shut down.
Yeah.
Devontae Adams, shout out for making people respect who you are. Listen, I am a firm believer that Devontae Adams is still the best receiver in football. He cooked Surtain.
Yeah, he did. I just want to bring up this comment here. We appreciate you tuning in. Yes, we do have DFS takes coming up at the end of our show. We've got a few more games to recap here, but coming up at the end of our show, we will be breaking down the DFS plays for the Monday Night Football game between the Niners and the Cardinals. You'll get our picks later on in the show. We appreciate you tuning in. We do it Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays. We do it. We do DFS. So yeah, join us. We got fantasy football talk on Tuesdays, and then also Sundays we do our show live before taking start sit questions, DFS, all that good stuff. So appreciate it. Yep. And if you're breathing fantasy football, literally,
hey, that's what I do.
You need to be a member of the Sack City, so be sure to subscribe, and we appreciate you hopping on here as well. But the Raiders do defeat the Broncos 22-16. Devontae Adams, like you said, like we just went on about, he cooked Patrick Surtain. 7 total receptions, 141 yards, 2 tutties in this game, including that game winner in overtime. His 3rd straight game with a receiving touchdown. He's been on fire. Aaron, let's switch over to the other side of this matchup, and it's the Broncos only scoring 16 points here. It was another tough day at the office for this offense. Second game this season with 0 passing touchdowns from Russell Wilson.
Hey, Broncos country, let's win.
Let's do something, Broncos country.
Jesus. Hey, listen, is Russell Wilson broken? It's not that he even played bad, but he didn't play good. It's getting to the point now where Russell Wilson is back to this, I'm a game manager. And I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I told you this a couple of weeks ago. I think Russell Wilson is at the point in his career, point in his life where maybe football's not a priority for him. And again, I hate judging somebody's character off the field when it comes to this. You know how I feel about that. But it doesn't seem to bother him as much. And I know he's a very positive, optimistic person, but it doesn't seem to bother him that they're playing so bad, offensively especially. And it's not like they don't have weapons. I love what Greg Dulcich brings to this team. I love Cortland Sutton. They had Jerry Jeudy. Despite them not really having a running game, Melvin Gordon somehow has disappeared from the face of the earth. Latavius Murray's, he's just a plotter. And then Chase Edmonds goes there, and he's nothing in their backfield. Yes, they missed Javonte Williams. But for me, it's something about Russell Wilson's just not sitting right. And I wonder how much football means to him right now. It's tough to put into words, but it's on him. Forget the Nathaniel Hackett stuff. Nathaniel Hackett is offense, he's offensive coordinator. He gave up the play calling duties. Didn't matter. It's not Nathaniel Hackett. This is on Russell Wilson. You were brought there $240 million to do a job, and you haven't done that job. Disappointing season for the Broncos. I don't know if they can get it right, but they better figure it out real quickly because next year comes fast, and you got to pay that quarterback no matter what. So just a tough year for the Broncos, but I'm over kind of dealing with the Broncos. I think we're where we're at. They suck.
Plain and simple. That's where they're at. Both these teams now move to 3-7. Another player to mention here, Josh Jacobs, in this one had a good day as well. 24 carries, 109 yards. Did not find the end zone, but a good day for him on the ground. And that's what leads to success. You give the ball and you put the ball in your best players' hands. In Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams, you're going to win football games. As the Raiders defeat the Broncos 22-16. 16. Before we get into our next matchup, I just wanted to bring something back up as I see Breathing Fantasy is still in the chat here. I wanted to mention our DFS plays for later is also a public matchup, a public DraftKings group contest, I should say, that where we invite 100 people to join our DFS plays for primetime football, and we see who can take that number one spot. If you can do it, we're going to give you a lot of credit. We're going to bring you out. We're going to mention it on the show, bring it up, and it's going to be a very big deal if you can make it happen. Be first in our DFS lineups or in our DFS contest on prime time plays, and you get that big shout out. So we will invite everybody on our social media pages. It'll be posted there. So be sure to stay dialed in to join our prime time plays DraftKings matchup or contest between the Cardinals and the Niners tonight. Let's move on to the next game on our list. The Cincinnati Bengals defeat the Pittsburgh Steelers 37-30. They move to 6-4. The Steelers move to 3-7. This was a good day from Joe Burrow. He was 24 of 39, 355 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. A good day from him, and a great day for Samaje Perine, who had 3 receiving touchdowns. Talk about having a day. 3 receiving touchdowns will do that. As Joe Mixon left the game early with a concussion, Samaje Perine stepped right in and played well, especially through the air for Joe Burrow. Aaron, your full takeaways from this game on both sides, because there are some big-time plays from Najee Harris, even in a loss here. Kenny Pickett looked good. What stood out to you the most in a high-scoring affair between two AFC North rivals?
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in the Cincinnati Bengals defense. I think they had been kind of the unsung heroes for the year for them. They didn't play very well against the Pittsburgh offense that was able to put up 30 from an offense that hasn't really been able to do anything. Pat Freiermuth had a nice day. You can see he was kind of that security blanket for Kenny Pickett. George Pickens got involved. Najee Harris, I thought, ran well. This was probably the first time I looked at him and I was like, okay, he ran the ball really well. Lost Jaylen Warren, so maybe there was a little jump start to Najee Harris there. But honestly, it was just mostly about the Cincinnati defense not really living up to what they had been playing. The offense played great. Joe Burrow did his thing. T. Higgins, obviously a big day there, 9 for 148. Got some other guys involved. Samaje Perine, they didn't run the ball really well, only 2.6 yards per carry as a team, but Perine came up big in the passing game. Not the game I expected. I thought this was going to be more of a defensive game. It was not. It was an offensive game. But the Bengals found a way to win on the road in the division. I think that was big for them. I still think the Bengals are very similar to where they were at last year. And maybe it's a good sign because they can go on a run, but they're kind of just middling along. Like they're winning and then they're looking good and then they're not looking so great, but they're still winning at 6-4. They're probably on pace to win 10 games and go 10-7 again. The difference in this case would be, I think the playoff teams in the AFC are a lot better than they were last year. Last year, I felt like it was only the Bills and only the Chiefs, and the Bengals got hot at the right time. They got matched up with Tennessee, which was nice, and the Raiders, which was nice. I don't know that you can do that in the AFC this year. I believe that every team that makes the playoffs, maybe outside of one, is going to be formidable. And I think that's the difference. I think they need to win the division in order not to go on the road to start that playoffs. And I don't know that they have it in them to do that, but they are 6-4 and they won a division game. It was really hard to break this game down, to be honest, because I don't think anything really stood out. Joe Burrow's playing good football, but the defense wasn't great. And then sometimes the defense is great and Joe Burrow doesn't play that well. So I just think they're kind of been up and down, but they're winning. And that's really what matters. This just shows me that Pittsburgh is in exactly where we thought they were. They're in transition.
Oh, I had a great question. It was so smooth. What did you? I was on mute. I was on mute. I just asked, what did you think of Kenny Pickett in this one?
Oh, I was like, I thought you crashed because I was on a different page.
No,
I thought Kenny Pickett played fine. I thought he played confident. He's a rookie, so there were mistakes and missed throws and opportunities. Yeah, but I thought he played well in a big time moment against a division team. Look, I'm more encouraged about Kenny Pickett now. I have more positive things going through my mind about Kenny Pickett than I did at the start of the season. I did think at the start of the season that I wasn't a fan of the pick. I thought it was early, but I do like what I've seen from Pickens or Pickett and Pickens that little combo. He's obviously got a connection with Pat Freiermuth. Deontay Johnson has kind of taken a backseat, but we know the talent level that Deontay Johnson has. So when they can all get on the same page, I think there could be something there if Najee Harris can run the ball and they can get an offensive line to protect him. I think I'm more positive on Kenny Pickett than I was, weeks back.
Yeah. And with George Pickens, 4 receptions, 83 yards, and a touchdown in this one. And like I said before he even got drafted, I think George Pickens is going to be the best one from this class. And I think right now, look at the rest of the rookie wide receivers, I think he might be the best one. Just saying. Just wanted to throw that one out there. What?
Come on, man. You're going to make me do this? He's not better than Chris Olave. Like, that's not a thing. All right.
Come
on. And
maybe it's close. But all right.
Can we really judge Garrett Wilson? I mean, he's got Zach Wilson throwing him the ball. He was balling out when Joe Flacco was in there. Like,
I heard some Jets fans talking the other day saying they want Joe Flacco or Chris Strivler or whatever the third string quarterback is.
Hey, listen, man, Zach Wilson's got to be better. Zach Wilson's got to be better.
Yeah. But all right, the Bengals defeat the Steelers 37-30. The Bengals again move to 6-4, and the Steelers move to 3-7. Ooh. I gotta scroll back up. I gotta find the graphic.
I shouldn't have a problem clipping this one.
The Kansas City Chiefs on Sunday night primetime football defeat the Los Angeles Chargers 30-27. It was the return of guys like Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. And Mike Williams play to play and then left, had a phenomenal catch, and then left. Keenan Allen finished the game, had a pretty good day, but the Chiefs still are the Chiefs. They win this game 30-27. I know Aaron is loading up to what happened to your video? Did you
I was trying to hit unmute there. I'm stretching. This is about to get real. I'm stretching.
Okay, all right. Well, let me run down little game notes here before I tee you up. In this game, we did see the return of those players and maybe a little bounce back from the Chargers offense getting clicking a little bit more. Josh Palmer had a great day, 8 receptions, 106 yards, and 2 touchdowns for Palmer. It was a good day from him, but at the end of the day, you leave just too much time on the clock for someone like Patrick Mahomes, and you get burnt. And I feel like that's what happened here as the Chiefs defeat the Chargers 30-27. Aaron, I don't have a question for you. I'm just going to give you the floor.
I'm not going to answer it anyways. Listen. Oh my God! Look at this guy right here, man. Is there a better player? Is there a better player on the planet? Let me answer it for you. That's a rhetorical question. No. First of all, Patrick Lord, what did I call it? What did I call him in my text message? Magoat. Patrick Lord, Magoat Holmes, and Travis Kelce. I can't even get my words right. Listen. If Patrick Mahomes is he's no longer Jesus, he's God, and Travis Kelce is Jesus. I don't know. I'm not a religious person, but I don't know how that all works. But these two men are the greatest I've ever seen do it together. Yes, it might be hyperbole. People might be like, "Oh, you're crazy. You're in the moment. You're a prisoner of the moment." I don't care. Yeah, I'm a prisoner of the moment. There is nobody on the planet that does it like this guy. He is the best player that we have ever seen at the position. Player, talent-wise, yes, he's not Tom Brady. He doesn't have the explosiveness of saying, I got 8 rings and I was married to no, but he's got explosiveness on the football field. He can make every throw. He knows what the hell he's doing. Teams can't even play shell defense anymore. Do we realize what yes, absolutely better than Rodgers and Nelson. Do we realize what Patrick Mahomes has done in this 3-year stretch? And I'm not even talking about the years he won the Super Bowl or the MVP when he threw 50 touchdowns. Think about what he's done. He throws 50 touchdowns and deep balls to Tyreek Hill. So defenses come the next year, which was last year, and they say, we can't play defense this way. We can't blitz this guy. We're going to run shell cover 2. We're going to make him be patient and dink and dunk because he won't do it. And at the beginning of the season, every single analyst, every single Chiefs fan or Chiefs hater says, oh, they got Mahomes now. He's too impatient. He wants to throw the ball deep. He can't do it. So what does he do? He figures it out. And he says, you know what? I'm going to take what they give me. And so he goes and he makes another Super Bowl run. They fall short in the AFC title game. Then he comes this year and they say, okay, we can't play cover 2 anymore. So we got to blitz, play cover 2, play cover 3, play shell, disguise coverage. And guess what? He beats it all without Tyreek Hill, with Justin Watson, Jody Fortson, Noah Gray. This is why he is the greatest. This is why he is the best. Because the first thing we do with Aaron Rodgers, he has no weapons. The first thing we did with Tom Brady, oh, he has no weapons. The first thing we do with Patrick Mahomes is we say, this dude is throwing to Noah Gray, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, Sky Moore, Jody Fortson, Kadarius Toney outcast, Juju Smith-Schuster didn't get a new deal. And then all the haters will say, well, he still has Travis Kelce. Yeah, the tight end that we have lamented for years that you need to have help on the outside. And guess what he has? He has zero help on the outside. He makes those players step up. Nobody heard of these players. These aren't just, nobody heard of Justin Watson and Noah Gray. You know who has? Patrick Mahomes said, I don't care who I'm throwing the ball to. It doesn't matter who you give me. Isaiah Pacheco now running the ball. You have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Travis Kelce, and you are going to be a Super Bowl contender every year. Every single year. I don't want to hear any more about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's loss of Mike Williams, loss of Keenan Allen. I don't give a shit. Throw the ball to Josh Palmer. Josh Palmer, you just said had a good day. So why are we making excuses for guys with injuries? And by the way, one more take and we can move on because I talk about Patrick Mahomes all the damn time. Justin Herbert, did you watch that game?
Yes.
Patrick Mahomes drops back, the last drive, drops back, reads man coverage. All the defenders are backs are to him, sees the seam up the middle, takes off running like he's supposed to do. And then I laughed when they set up the same exact play for the Chargers and Justin Herbert tried to do the exact same thing. And Chris Jones reached out with his paws and said, get your ass back over here. You are not Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. That's the one thing that stood out to me as something as a talking point is Justin Herbert's play in this game. Not that he had a bad game.
He's talented. He's talented.
Yeah. It's just
there's no doubt about that. But
yeah,
we lamented him too quick. We started comparing him to Patrick Mahomes too quick. It's the same thing I said about Josh Allen, and I was really close with Josh Allen. But you start looking at the accolades and what these guys have done. Patrick Mahomes has been to 4 straight AFC title games. He's won a Super Bowl, been a Super Bowl MVP. He's won a league MVP. Those accomplishments in the first 4 years as a starter. Yeah. Like we forget, he didn't even start until 2018. This is only his 5th year as a starter. He's done all this in 4 years as a starter. Those other guys, you cannot start putting these guys on the level of Patrick Mahomes. He is the best quarterback. He is the best player in football. And we have to stop underselling how good he is. We are quick to undersell what he does and just not appreciate it. And so I'm going to continue to be the biggest fan, the biggest stan, and call this man the damn human version of Jesus himself walking on water because that's what that man does.
The biggest fan, the biggest stan for Patrick Mahomes is this man right here, Aaron Mukes. As a team, though, for the Chiefs, this is the first time in the Patrick Mahomes era that featured a 300-yard passer, a 100-yard pass catcher, and a 100-yard rusher. It's never been done in the Patrick Mahomes era. Kelce, 100 yards, Isaiah Pacheco, 100 yards, and, of course, Lord Jesus Christ himself, Patrick Mahomes, 300 yards through the air as and they Kelce get the win.
The record. Kelce
and of course, there's a lot of notes on the Chiefs side of this, okay, that has and deserves to be gotten into. Yes, Travis Kelce, his 33rd career game with 100-plus receiving yards, the most by a tight end in NFL history. He is great. He broke a tie with Rob Gronkowski to secure that record. He now has 11 receiving touchdowns this season. That's not just the most receiving touchdowns from a tight end. That's the most receiving touchdowns in the NFL, period. His last 3 receptions of this game were touchdown, touchdown, and touchdown. This team's great. This team's great.
Man, bro. Derwin James, shout out Derwin James. He played him tough, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how great you are. Mahomes and Kelce always find a way. And they're going to be contenders as long as they have those 3 guys, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and Travis Kelce. And there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Yeah. The Chiefs are very good at football. the Chargers on the rise. I think we did see some good signs from this offense. But no, I'm not.
They're 500.
This was not meant
What's
to
Justin
be.
Herbert's record as a quarterback? 500.
This was not meant to be to go into this. But to continue your 500 train, Justin Herbert is now 500 against AFC West teams in his career. He's now 8-8.
I did have a stat, and I freaking.
He's thrown an interception in 5 straight games, tying the longest active streak in the NFL.
No, I'm so mad now.
Season high 5 times.
No, it was actually a stat for the Kansas City Chiefs, who have not lost a road game in the division. November.
I have that in my.
It's like 20-0 or something. It's ridiculous number.
Hold on, I can get that stat here. Why don't you answer a comment or do something from the comments?
Something, Aaron.
Dance.
It looks like somebody's a Packer fan I see in there. Maybe that's why we brought up Rodgers and Jordy Nelson. I'm from California. Vinny, where are you from? But I live in Georgia now.
I am in Connecticut.
Vinny is down in Connecticut. He was in Jacksonville, but he's from, I don't know. We don't Plantation for. We don't know where we're at. Vinny is a big wig somewhere at CBS. He does a lot of big stuff with the March.
Big wig.
Yeah, he makes all the graphics and all smart stuff. I'm just a stupid guy with the microphone here in Albany, Georgia.
Where is that stat? I know what one you're talking about. I can't find it. I'm useless.
It's okay. We don't need it. We don't need it. Put it this way: they have now won 26 straight games in November and December.
Oh, was that the stat you were going for?
No, but it was on the road stat in the AFC West. But
stat.
That's another stat where they've won 26 straight in November, December. It's unreal. This team is so good. I can't believe the people that discredited them this year coming into this division, talking about the Chargers are going to win, the Broncos are going to win, the Raiders were going to win. All of them.
I got it. It's about Patrick. Shocker. It's about Patrick Mahomes. That's really what it's about. Patrick Mahomes is now 24-3 against the AFC West in his career, and he's now 14-0 against the AFC West on the road. He has never lost a game against the AFC West on the road. Was that what your stat was?
Yes.
You're welcome.
People don't realize how like those kind of numbers are insane. In division, you've never lost on the road. Like, get out of here. Let's go. Let's move on. Yeah. We got a lot to talk about. Let's move on.
Yeah, we still have I think 3 or 4 more games to get into, so we need to start hopping here. But the next game we're going to talk about, a lot about. But the Chiefs do defeat the Chargers here 30-27, leading the AFC now at 8-2. Chargers drop to 5-5, still trying to claw their way into a playoff spot. Aaron, it is now time for us to turn our attention to our NFC matchup recaps.
It's time!
Aaron, you know a whole lot about this game. It's the Bears falling to the Falcons 27-24. The Falcons defending their home turf, getting the win here as they move to 5-6. The Bears move to 3-8. Another close, heartbreaking loss for the Chicago Bears. Another tight game that they're in the whole entire time, and then they fall. Falcons get the dub, 27-23. Aaron, you were there. Let's start with that. You being there, you're up close, you're personal with these guys. What did you see? What stood out to you the most from this game with your eyes watching, dead set, right there, watching Fields, watching Mariota, watching records, watching history? What'd you see?
Well, number one, shout out to Cordero Patterson for breaking the record on kickoff returns. It's funny because my son, right before he did it, was like, he's going to return one today. And it just so happened he brought right up the middle where all kick returners should go, because that's the best place to do it. Everybody likes to get to the outside. He did it the right way. Shout out to Cordero Patterson, because that record is something to be held special, because let's be honest, guys like Josh Cribbs and Devin Hester and Dante Hall, great return men in this game that have played to have the number one spot there. Percy Harvin, when he was at his best, it's saying something. And Cordero Patterson has been a guy who's been a Swiss Army knife. Shout out to him for being a running back, receiver, everything. He's been everything, and he's definitely a special talent. But to me, this game really it was strange because I thought Justin Fields played really well. Like for them, Justin Fields looked really good in this game again. And it's unfortunate he got hurt at the end. I thought the difference was the defenses, a couple of mistakes. The kickoff return was huge. I don't think that the Falcons win this game if they don't return that kick, because I thought all the momentum was on the Bears side. But in the end, the Falcons stuck to what they want to do. They want to run the football. They want to speed the game up. They want the clock to keep running. And then they want to get some fortunate plays and pull through in the end. And that's what happened. They didn't do anything special offensively. They didn't run the ball particularly well over. I mean, they had good rushing performance, but it wasn't like they dominated in some running game. They turned the ball over. They were just fortunate that the Bears offense kind of sputtered a little towards the end and couldn't get anything going in that second half. Justin Fields had a chance to win it at the end. Obviously, the ball gets picked off and it ends there. He was banged up on that play, but they did not run it very well with David Montgomery. He was just 3.9 yards a carry. I thought he should have been a little bit better, but Atlanta sold out. Marcus Mariota didn't turn the football over, and I've said this before. He's not special. It's not good. Trust me, I didn't think Marcus Mariota played that great, but he didn't turn the football over. When you don't turn the football over, you have a chance to win. It was at home. Both of these teams are bad football teams, though. I'm going to make that very clear again. And I know that Atlanta has 5 wins, and they've won very similar to what the Patriots have done this year. They run the football. They hope you make mistakes, and then they capitalize on those mistakes, which is great. You can win some games in the NFL that way. But long-term success and sustained success in the playoffs and beyond, it just won't happen, and that's really what we see here.
Well, you look at the game statistically from the Falcons' point of view, two out of 9 on third down, had fewer first downs than the Bears, had fewer total yards than the Bears, more turnovers than the Bears. They possessed the ball less than the Bears and still found the way to win 27-24. Justin Fields did have a great day. 5 straight games now with a passing touchdown and a rushing touchdown that ties for the longest streak in a season in NFL history. And then he also has 5 straight games with a rushing touchdown, tied for the second longest streak by a quarterback in NFL history. But the thing that stands out that we're going to keep an eye on is Justin Fields was carted off at the end of the game. Not like seriously carted off like we're used to, but he was carted off with the shoulder injury. His left shoulder is a problem. And Matt Eberflus came out and said after the game that we will have more news on that Wednesday. So be sure to be dialed into our shows on Wednesday and Thursday for updates, and follow us on our social media pages for news regarding the Justin Fields injury. But the Falcons find a way to win this one.
I just want to say, go watch the Justin Fields throw if you haven't seen it yet. The one to, I think it was David Montgomery on the sideline. Perhaps one of the greatest throws this season. The dude is special. It was his ability, his escapability. Seeing it on TV does not do it justice. I promise you that. It's the first time I got to see him play in person. Dude especially threw the ball on a dime to David Montgomery on the sideline while escaping the pocket. It's one of the better throws I've seen this year. I think people need to start paying attention to Justin Fields, because I think it's about to happen over this, next season and a half. I think it's about to happen.
I just see what is it? The Office, that GIF. It's like, it's happening. It's happening.
Or Dylan, oh boy, it's going off.
Oh boy, it's going off. Justin Fields is going off, and it will continue. But they do fall to the Falcons 27-24. The New Orleans Saints take down the Los Angeles Rams 27-20 at home. The Saints scored 27 points, their most since week 7 against Arizona. They scored 23 points combined in their last 2 games entering Sunday. So they were able to bounce back offensively against a Rams team that continues to struggle, now dropping 4 straight games, their longest since a 7-game losing streak in 2016. Rams continue to struggle. Saints offense slowly starting to figure it out. Andy Dalton looked good in this game. 21 of 25, 260 through the air, and 3 touchdowns. Aaron, I don't want to continue beating this dead. Same thing we talked about with the Broncos. This is just who the Rams are right now. This is who they are.
Well, I think the Rams win that game if Stafford plays the rest of it. Okay. I mean, he had driven them down, 2 touchdowns drive, the ball to Atwell, scored earlier. They were up 14 to 10, I believe. I think the Rams would have won this game if Matt Stafford played. He's been, listen, this is not the year to talk about Matt Stafford. He's been doing everything he can behind that putrid of offensive line, losing now his best receiver. I'm okay with giving Matt Stafford a pass. He took the team to a Super Bowl and won it last year. I'm okay with giving him a pass this season. But I also think we've seen the last of him. I don't think Matt Stafford plays again this year. I don't think Cooper Kupp plays again this year. It's just so weird to me. I'm getting a little confused by Sean McVay. This week it was Cam Akers who saw all the touches. Like, what is going on there? Make up your mind. Is he in your doghouse? Is he not? Last week he doesn't run at all. This week he gets 14 touches. Darrell Henderson doesn't play. I don't know what the mindset is there, but I don't think that's a great recipe for success. But I'll be honest, this game was very blah to me. These are two really bad teams to me. I'm not excited for the Saints because they won. Andy Dalton played well, great. Jalen Ramsey once again gets cooked in this game. But I just think this is just two bad football teams right now. And so I wasn't very excited about it. Shout out to the Saints for getting the win and trying to stay in this hunt, but it wasn't special. There's not, like I said, I don't have many takeaways.
No, I definitely get it. And I think something that should be brought up is what we're seeing in the chat, that maybe this is now starting to become just Andy Dalton's team for the rest of the year. He played well in this game, a career high 84% completion percentage here today. His 16th career game with 3+ passing touchdowns and 0 interceptions, first since 2019. Andy Dalton played well. They were able to get the win 27-20. Allen Robinson had a touchdown. Like, this is, like you said, this is just a game. The Saints do win 27-24. Rams now 4 straight losses. They moved to 3-7, and the Saints now 4-7. And that's just kind of where we're at with these two teams. And that does it for that recap. That's where we're ending it right there. Clip it right there. Stop the video right here. Just for you. I'm just kidding. That's what needed to be done. That's what needed to be done. The next game on our list, it's the New York Giants falling to the Detroit Lions. Go get it, Dan Campbell. Go get it. Another road win for DC and the boys as they defeat the Giants 31-18 here in this one. After the Giants rode high, we were like, okay, the Giants, they're it. And they lose to the Lions here 31-18. The Lions now on a 3-game win streak, Aaron. Let's start there. Let's start talking about the Lions. We just got news this morning as we're doing this show that Jameson Williams' practice window has now opened, now recovering from that, recovering and trying to return from the ACL injury he suffered in the national championship with Alabama. First-round draft pick for the Lions here. He is now set to possibly return, at least and get back on the practice field. They win this one. They're riding high, 3-game win streak. Talk to us about the Lions, Aaron.
Look, man, you guys know how much I love Dan Campbell. I felt like, again, maybe not the biggest X's and O's guys, but the motivator and leadership of men is the most important attribute a coach could have. As somebody who played football, I will follow somebody that can lead before worried about somebody that knows or doesn't know the game. Like, I'll be honest, that's just, I'm big on leadership, and his leadership and changing the culture of the Detroit Lions, I think, is apparent. This team fights each and every week. They don't win all the games. They're not the most talented, but they're young. They fight, and they have followed Dan Campbell. I loved what I heard about giving Dan Campbell another year to try to get his quarterback and get it right. You get Jameson Williams back. This, to me, was more about the Giants than it was about the Lions, though I know what I'm getting with the Lions. First of all, DeAndre Swift's still not healthy, and they're mixing in Jamal Williams. He's got to be the most touchdown-dependent player I've ever seen if we want to talk fantasy football. He's useless, but he falls into the end zone so damn much that he's not useless. He's one of the better fantasy running backs. So it's really, really strange what they're doing, but it's because DeAndre Swift is banged up. They're trying to manage him. But just the way they play. I told you that offense I thought is a good offense when their defense can hold up. Fortunately, they knew the formula to beat the Giants, which everybody needs to know. Stop Saquon. You stop Saquon, you stop the Giants. They have no weapons on the outside. Daniel Jones is and we don't think he's going to come back next year anyways unless they franchise him. And they did. 15 carries for 22 yards for Saquon Barkley. That's not going to cut it. This is what the Giants' problem is. I've said it every game this year, even when they started winning games. I'm like, he's the offense. If you stop him, you win. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. If you stop Saquon Barkley, you are going to beat the Giants. And this is why I didn't want to call them frauds, but I also wasn't ready to anoint them as being a team going forward. The one point I do want to make, and I think it's a good, appropriate time to do it with the Giants, because we've talked about the Jets, the Giants, the Lions, the Seahawks. I think these teams that we felt like were going to be bad, that have had more success to start the season, we have to also like scale back and realize they are far further ahead than we anticipated they are. Yep. Like this Giants football team has talent on the team. If they go add a weapon on the outside and get a quarterback in the draft, they're a team we're talking about. Seattle's the same way, right? They drafted so well, they're young. The Jets drafted so well, they're young. They need good quarterback play. The Detroit Lions, these teams are not that far away. And in the past, we've always looked at teams like the Browns and the Bengals before they got Joe Burrow, and we would just look at them and be like, they're so far away from winning that it was almost hard to fathom that they could be good. Nobody's going to go crazy next year if Seattle goes and gets their quarterback or chooses to stick with Geno and surrounds him with even more talent, and they're an 11-6, 10-7 team and fighting in the playoffs. Like I think we'll be beyond that. I think this is the first year of that transition, and the Giants are in that. So they're 7-3, but I don't expect them to make noise in the playoffs because they lack the weapons on the outside. They can use some more help up front, and they need a quarterback that's going to give them a little bit more than just being a game manager, which Daniel Jones has been this year. So the Lions are right in that same transition. Jared Goff's cool, game manager, can make things happen, but if they can get a special quarterback, you start looking at these teams differently. And then one more thing, Aiden Hutchinson, dog. That's all I gotta say.
Aiden Hutchinson, interception, pass deflection, fumble recovery in this game. It's his second interception this season. He is the first Lions defensive lineman to have multiple interceptions in a season since the merger. Second Lions rookie with multiple sacks and multiple interceptions since sacks became official in 1982. He is balling out for them, and really their defense deserves a little bit of credit. We dog them a lot. We dog them a lot this season as being one of the worst in the NFL. But over the past 3 games, only allowing 19 points per game. They have 7 takeaways in those 3 games. Their pressure percentage is 39% in it too. Like, this is a defense that's becoming a little bit stronger and stronger and stronger as the season progresses. And that is a testament to what Dan Campbell is instilling into his team as they get another win their 3rd straight game with DC over the New York Giants here, 31-18. One more game to go, Aaron. And it's your Dallas Cowboys absolutely beating, and I'm not going to mince words here. The Dallas Cowboys absolutely beat the brakes off of the Minnesota Vikings. They beat the shit out of them. They smacked them around. They made them not look like a damn team. 40-3 in their home barn. How do you do that? It happened. The Cowboys 40-3 over the Vikings. Aaron, it looked great in all phases for the Dallas Cowboys as they dominate in this game. The passing game looked good. The defense always looked good. Zeke finds the end zone. Tony Pollard has a day. Everything seemed to go right for the Dallas Cowboys. What went wrong for the Vikings that stood out to you the most?
Well, listen, first of all, I don't think the difference between these two teams is 40-3. I'll make that very clear. So Cowboy fans, I'm a Cowboy fan. Like, let's pump the brakes. Minnesota Vikings fans, don't go jump off a cliff. I told you before, this is why you got to watch our show, man. I told you guys on Friday or Thursday, whenever we previewed this game, this was the perfect time for the Dallas Cowboys to meet the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings coming off a big win against Buffalo, emotional, overtime. They were revved up after that game. Then they have to come back home and play a team that just got beat by the Green Bay Packers. Dallas pissed off, media talking crap about them. Oh, they're not legit contenders. This is what the Cowboys always do. Accident waiting to happen. If you're listening to guys like Stephen A. Smith, they will find a way. And so the Dallas Cowboys are going to come into this game hungry. And it started from jump. First drive of the game, Micah Parsons, fumble recovery. They only get 3 points, but it started there. The Minnesota Vikings, number one, I didn't think they ran the ball enough, but this goes to what I said at the beginning of the season with Kevin O'Connell and this offense. Everybody thought it was going to be special. And nothing is special about this Minnesota Vikings offense. Nothing. This is no different than what they were doing last year and the year before when they had a good offense and those great weapons that they have in Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. The only difference is they won't line up a fullback in the backfield and run Dalvin Cook 26 times because that's not the offense. They want to spread it out. They want to run 3 wide, trip sets, quads, whatever it is, and then they want to run off of that. And what that does, though, is it allows defenses to then disguise. You can drop guys in the box and make Kirk Cousins think, oh, this is a passing situation. I already got my 3 wide receiver personnel on the board. Let me go ahead and check to a pass. And he checks out of a run game that is probably more beneficial for them. And he throws right into this zone coverage that Dallas had been planning all along. The versatility of the offense in Minnesota is nice, but sometimes you just have to line up and play football. Sometimes you just got to line up and say, Dallas is not very good against the run. We're going to give the ball to Dalvin Cook 26 times today and Alexander Madison and whoever else. And they did not do that. They got away from the run game early. Everything was working on Dallas's offense, so it put them a little bit behind the 8 ball. But Minnesota's fine. They're a good football team. Yeah. Doesn't mean they suck, but it still gives me cause to pause for them. Things I had questions about Minnesota coming into the year. Kirk Cousins in big games, still have questions. And that defense, and that defense did nothing against Dallas. Dallas's offense did whatever it wanted to each and every way, and I still have concerns about that Minnesota defense going forward. But they're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to win the division. They'll have a home playoff game. They'll probably get a nice matchup there. So they should be okay. This game to me was more about Dallas than it was about Minnesota.
Yeah, it's shocker. A game that is 40-3, it's more about one team than the other. And when you talk about the Cowboys and you look at the stats here, I mean, this is just an incredible day from everyone involved. Tony Pollard, 109 yards receiving, 80 yards on the ground, 15 carries, 6 receptions, 2 tutties total. I mean, it was a day for Tony Pollard. It was a day for Ezekiel Elliott as well. 14th career game with 2+ rushing touchdowns. 3rd straight game with a rushing touchdown. He was balling out. Micah Parsons, multiple sacks. I mean, this was an all-around fantastic game for the Dallas Cowboys. And like you said, this doesn't we'll see how it affects your power rankings, because I would assume the 3rd best team in the NFL, according to your power rankings entering this game, won't be the 3rd best team in the NFL.
You can't get beat 40-3 and expect to be number 3 in my power rankings. I will say this, by the way. I always end up with a by the way. By the way, Micah Parsons is the best defensive player in football.
Yep.
And people can point to sacks and numbers, and I don't think they know, they don't understand, they don't fully comprehend what he does. If you lined him up at defensive end like TJ Watt, every play of the game like TJ Watt, Myles Garrett, he would have 30 sacks. I'm dead serious about that. He would have 30 sacks. The dude puts pressure on the quarterback every time he rushes. If he's not getting there all the way, he's right in his face. He's pushing the lineman back. Every single time he is putting pressure on the quarterback. He manhandles offensive linemen that are 50 pounds, 70 pounds heavier than him. He's quicker than them. He can line up and play DB, he can line up and play linebacker. He is the best defensive player in the NFL right now. And that's saying a lot for me because I think Aaron Donald is insane. But the reason Micah Parsons is the best is because he is the most versatile. He can do multiple things. He plays middle linebacker, outside linebacker, defensive edge rusher, drops back in coverage. He does everything. Best defensive player in football.
Yeah, there's no argument for me there.
And I'm not done. Trayvon Diggs, we didn't mention Trayvon Diggs one time shutting down Jay Jettas, and you picked Jay Jettas on your DFS and said he's still going for 100 and a tutty, and I looked at you crazy. Trayvon Diggs.
I'm so happy.
I'm happy on Trayvon Diggs.
I'm happy to be wrong with that, man.
Listen, Trayvon Diggs came out this week and gave his list of top 5 wide receivers. He did not put Justin Jefferson on that list. That is not an indictment on Justin Jefferson, but he made a point. He was like, and then he went to Dan Quinn because we don't travel. Normally, Diggs does not travel. And he said, I want to travel with Justin Jefferson. He had everything on the line, most to lose in that game because of all the talk that's been about him. And he absolutely showed up and showed out and locked up Justin Jefferson. Locked him up. Lock it up. You lock it up. You lock it up.
Hey, I'll lock it up. Just locked it up. Locked it up. Respect Trayvon Diggs. Justin Jefferson is still one of the best receivers in the NFL, but Diggs shut him down. Diggs shut him down. That's and the Cowboys win this game here 40-3. to 3. They move to 7-3. The Vikings move to 8-2. That wraps it up for our recaps of the games. If you missed your team's recap, be sure to check it out on our YouTube page. It will be available for your viewing pleasure on our YouTube page at the Sack City Pod. Aaron, you ready to get into some DFS? Don't answer it because I know you are. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't put the adjusted one in there. That song's supposed to play for so much longer. All right. Monday Night Football between the San Francisco 49ers and the Arizona Cardinals. We're doing DFS. We're talking our plays. This is different from what we normally do on our Sundays where we draft. This is where we are just picking our teams, straightforward, nothing much to it. We're talking our DFS plays though. Cardinals, Niners. Aaron, what's your lineup looking like?
It's rough. Christian McCaffrey's my captain. So Christian McCaffrey is my captain. I don't think there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't have Kyler Murray option here. You just got to go with C-Mac. I think he's the one guaranteed to get you the volume as Christian McCaffrey. I think you have to go Christian McCaffrey as your captain.
Yeah, let me give some updates on some injuries here heading into this game that we've gotten throughout the show as it pertains to this Monday Night Football game. Let's see here. The Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray might not return until week 13 after their bye. So that's coming out as a report here. DeAndre Hopkins listed as questionable, is good to go. For the second straight week, Colt McCoy appears set to start for the Arizona Cardinals with Kyler Murray dealing with his hamstring injury. So trending towards Kyler being out, DeAndre Hopkins being in. And I think I'm on board with you. I don't care how expensive Christian McCaffrey is. I think he is my captain play as well because he's the best player on the field. Like that's just what it is. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts around it.
I agree. That's my number one play. I also have Brandon Ayuk in this game. I really like Brandon Ayuk in this game. As crazy as this sounds, I have Trey McBride in this game. I think the tight end, young, like you talk about getting like Colt McCoy going to tight ends. Even though I know the Niners are really good against tight end, Fred Warner and those boys are really good. My debate here is Deebo Samuel, or if I go with somewhere else. That's the real debate because I'm not 100% sold. My initial thought process was go McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and Deebo Samuel, all three of the and you get all of that running game. But it's tough. I don't really want to go James Conner.
Yeah, I have my lineup
going James Conner.
I have my lineup like roughly here. I have Rondale Moore. I have Kyle Juszczyk. It just seems like that's my dart throw. Juszczyk to find the end zone. McCaffrey, D-Hop, Brandon Ayuk. I put George Kittle in here as well. But now I am debating. I like that I'm Elijah Mitchell pick, and he's cheaper than Rondale Moore. And with Colt McCoy being their quarterback, I think I like Elijah Mitchell more, especially now with the comments as well. From Kyle Shanahan saying that it's going to be a 50-50 thing. And although we expect to see maybe more from Christian McCaffrey and maybe not so much a 50-50 split between them, I think Elijah Mitchell is a good play. I think I'm replacing Rondale Moore with Elijah Mitchell and going with that. Oh, but then that means there's no Kyle Juszczyk. Oh, man, but he's my dart throw. How do I not have the juice? I got my plays. Okay. What you got?
Wait. This is not good. This is not good. I just saw the chat. Keontae Ingram. I thought about Keontae Ingram too. Just late in the game, check down garbage points. I could see that. Now my debate is: do I want to play this many positional players and not put a quarterback in here? One of these quarterbacks got to have a nice day, at least decent. But I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to rock with what I got. I'm taking out Rondale Moore though, and I am gonna go Keontae Ingram. I think you need to have a running back in play here. That will allow me to do a little bit more. I have Christian McCaffrey. All right, I'm going all Niners minus D-Hop and Keontae. Niners, Christian McCaffrey. I'm going to go to the Niners defense. I think they get sacks and scores here. Brandon Ayuk, DeAndre Hopkins, Keontae Ingram, and George Kittle.
That's a good play. I didn't even think about the Cole McCoy effect with going up against that Niners defense. That's a good spot. That is a great spot. Man. See how money plays out here with that Niners defense being added. See what I can get for. Oh, great. Maybe I do the Keontae Ingram pick that everyone is talking about. I'm sticking with the juice, though. I'm going to stick with the juice. I'm locking this in. Christian McCaffrey, DeAndre Hopkins, Brandon Ayuk, 49ers defense, Elijah Mitchell, and the juice, Kyle Juszczyk. Locking that in. That's my team. That's our DFS plays. That's where we're at here. We do have some defenses in here, Breathing Fantasy. We both did have the Niners defense.
Yeah, I thought about kickers, but I think the Niners will be able to score touchdowns. I know it's tough because sometimes those kicker plays, especially in a game like this, could be big. But I went with the Niners defense instead. Maybe they get a score. You're talking about Ray McCloud. Maybe he gets a return. Give me Niners defense here, and I'll be good.
Yep, that's the way we're rolling here. That is our DFS plays. Be sure to follow us on our social media pages if you want to join this DFS showdown that we have going on. Try and become first place. We'll see it. We'll have it on Twitter, and we'll have it on Facebook and all those platforms. So be sure to join. See if you can take that top spot. Let's make it happen. Let's see who can win. We'll be back again live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time with our fantasy show, the Fantasy Drive, presented by the Sac City Podcast, live at 10, recapping all the Week 11 action and looking ahead towards Week 12. We'll also have a recap of the Monday Night Football game between the Cardinals and the 49ers, though. Again, if you missed a single recap from today's show, they will be available for your viewing pleasure on YouTube. So be sure to go check out your team's recap video and share. Like the video. Let us know what you think of the video in the comments. All that, do it. And we'll be doing our thing tomorrow live at 10 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, though, for my best friend Aaron Mukes, I am me. Patrick Mahomes is the Lord and Savior, Jesus GOAT. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Peace out.